What's up? FH Coding here, and I'm back with another video on while loops. So let's get going. Alright, first let's press new file, and file, save as, and now let's call this while loops. And let's change the type of the file to Python. Let's save. Alright, let's get started. A while loop is a very important part of Python, and with the while loop we can execute a set of statements as long as a condition is true. So I'm going to give you an example. So first, let's call this variable I, and I'll set it to 0. Alright, so now we use the while keyword. So we say while, and then we just put a conditional. So I'll just do I is less than 10, and we put a colon here. We press enter, and notice the indent. Let's do print I, and now let's increment I. So I plus equals 1. And you might be wondering what this plus equals is. The plus equals is basically a short way of saying I equals I plus 1. And you also might be wondering why we have to increment. So we have to increment because if we don't increment, this loop is going to run forever. And after a certain amount of time, it's probably going to crash your computer. And we don't want that happening. So let's run this. And we get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The while loop requires relevant variables to be ready. And in this example, we define a variable as I. So what would happen if we forgot to increment? Let's run this, and it's just printing 0. And I want it to stop, so I use Control-C, and that just terminates the program. So you want to remember, in case you get stuck in an infinite loop like this, you want to remember to click the terminal and hit Control-C, and that's going to stop your program from crashing. Let's go to the break statement. A break statement basically just stops the loop even if the condition is true. So let's do if I is equal to 5, break, and we want to remember to increment. So I plus equals 1. So let's run this, and we get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so now let's go to the continue statement. So with the continue statement, the program just stops the current iteration of the loop, and then it just continues on to the next, given that this condition still holds true. To demonstrate the continue statement, I'll take this print and I'll move it down here, and let's change this to continue. I'll move the I plus equals 1 up here. Alright, so let's run this, and we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When I was 5, it saw the continue statement, and it skipped this because the continue just like ends that iteration and continues on to the next. Now let's get into else statements. While loops are a lot like if statements in many ways, and an example of this is the else statement. So basically, let's just delete this, and we'll set it back to what it was in the beginning. Print I, and let's do the incrementation. I plus equals 1, and now let's say else. Print I is greater than 10. So let's run this, and we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then at the end, once I is equal to 10, 10 is not less than 10, so it skipped it and goes to the else statement, and we get I is greater than 10. So that's pretty cool. While loops can do a lot of things. What I just showed you was a basic example. Also, in while loops, instead of putting a condition, you can also do this. So I'll just set a variable called running, which is a boolean, and I'll set its value to true. So, and then after that, I'll do while running, which basically says while running is true, run this. I'll say I equals 1, print I plus equals 1, and then I'll say if I is greater than 10, running is false. Basically, so running is true, and so while running is true, it's just gonna keep on doing this. And if I is greater than 10, the program's gonna set running to false, and then the while loop is gonna terminate. So let's run this, and it looks like it's stuck in an infinite loop, so I'm just gonna terminate it. Alright, so I terminated the program, and now let's see why. Let's see what the problem was. It says, so while running, I equals 1, print I plus equals 1, if I, alright. So the problem is, even after you increment I, so let's say I equals 1, so in the first iteration of the program, I equals 1. We print I plus equals 1, so I equals 2. This condition is false. So then we just repeat the program. But the thing is, when it goes on to the second iteration, I gets automatically set to 1. So in order to solve this, we'll just delete this, press enter, and go I equals 1. And you want to watch out for that, because that happens a lot of times. So let's run this now. And we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And as soon as I became greater than 10, running was false. And the while loop just terminated. And the only reason we got 10 as some of our output was because we printed I before this condition. So if we printed I after this condition, then we would only have numbers 1 through 9. Alright guys, that's basically it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you the next time. Peace.